So my wife worked in the other day, and I'm sitting here sewing on this same piece of metal. And she says to me, "Honey, why do you have so many vices?" And I looked around and I thought to myself, geez, I really need to delete my browser history more often. But then she started pointing out the different vices in the shop. V-I-S-E, not V-I-C-E. And I started thinking to myself, why do I have so many vices? So I thought I'd do a little quick video here of me going around and showing you what vices I do have, what I use them for, and maybe at the same time discover why I have so many vices. I encourage you in the comments below to tell me about your experience with vices. So anyway, let's get started. That's borax, folks. So here's the first vise. This is an old Colombian vise made in Cleveland, Ohio. I did not paint it orange and green. I'm not sure why it's painted orange and green, although it's kind of grown on me. It's a 4.5 inch vise. It's very heavy for its size, on a swivel base. And if there's any sort of advice I can give anyone on vices, look for one like this. Don't buy a comparable one from China. They just don't have the casting quality and forging quality that these do. I have no idea on the date of this thing. Maybe somebody who's knowledgeable in vices can tell me. There's a number 44, so I guess we could probably look that up. There's plenty of these guys out there. They need a little bit of love usually, but they're much heavier duty. The next vise is my little Wilton here. It's a 4-inch Wilton with copper jaws that I made just out of a bar of copper. Starting to get a little wear, but the nice thing about these, you take them off, put them on the mill, face them down. They're great. Nice thing about copper jaws is you can put things like a screw in them. Get a screw in it. Copper jaws won't mess up your threads. It'll just deform the copper into them. Things like that are things that you know, you just don't want to damage. This vise I did restore. It's obviously almost ready for a new restoration. My second piece of advice to anybody is to solidly mount your vices. These are mounted to a piece of 2x4s and a piece of 3/4 plywood on a table that's mounted to the wall of my shop. Also, you might see the Columbia over there. They actually line up when the Columbia is swiveled. That's kind of nice because if I have maybe a long piece of rod or something that I want to cut the end off of, I'm not fumbling with the back end of it flopping all around. Of course, I have my milling vise, my little milling vise, mounted on my traverse table. If you've seen any of the videos I do on my milling machine and lathe, you'll see some stuff about that. I also have another milling vise. So here's my Brown and Sharp 1925. It is waiting to be restored. It's not perfect. As you can see, the previous owner had a little run-in with a drill bit, it looks like there. Very heavy. Not even sure how heavy it is. You know what? Let's weigh it. 40 pounds. You do not want your finger under there when you drop that thing down. Lead screw is in really nice condition. Like I said, I just haven't got a chance to restore this yet. I'm not sure what I'm going to use it for. It's probably a little bit too big for my mill, but you know, I might try to put it on there. It does need jaws. I'll make jaws for it. But generally pretty good condition. Let's see what's next. Couple of drill press vices. This is a cheap one. I really just use this as a welding positioner. I don't even use it on the drill press very much. This is a pretty hefty duty one. It's a 4-inch. No maker's mark. I'm sure it was probably made in, it's probably US or Japan, would be my guess. I just remembered why I haven't sold this vise. It's got a quick release. push that button and it allows you to quick release. Kind of a handy little feature. My little beat up Stanley, also a drill press vise. Nice thing about this vise is it's got very good sides on it, even though they're a little chewed up. They're very parallel, so you can use this vise so you can mount this vise and another vise at different angles. Has come in handy in the past. It's also nice for welding. I'm not sure where this Stanley was made. I think it's got a C605 number on it. And obviously you can see somebody's really messed it up. It was like that when I got it. This was an eBay find. I think it was $12. This, I have no idea where I got it. Probably a garage sale or something for a few dollars. Let's see what else there is. Another drill press vise. Forgot about that one. It actually is probably a Chinese vise, but it's got an element of precision that the other two don't, which I kind of like. Mostly gets used, like I said, on the drill press or as a welding positioner. Before I go on, that comes up to why do I have so many vices? Well, it's like asking the question of why you have so many wrenches. Different tools work better for different jobs. Case in point, this guy. This is a pipe vise. Number 52, made in the US. Littlestown Howe and FDR Howe and Foundry Company, Littlestown, Pennsylvania, is where this one was made. Have no idea the year. Well, what's a pipe vise? Well, it's meant to be mounted on a table. This one's not, obviously. Or you can just clamp it down with some vice grips or whatnot. Opens like this. You put your pipe in, like so. Clamp it down. Gotta put your lock on. Put your lock on. Voila. Pipe vise. That's not a pipe, it's a rod. It's also a rod vise. I use it occasionally. It's very good to hold tubing without crushing it. Alright, let's move on. Oh, forgot about this one. This is also a Colombian. Made in USA, Cleveland, Ohio. It is technically a wood vise. I normally will have wood jaws in here. Or you can put wood jaws in here, I should say, to clamp for woodworking. However, I use this for all kinds of things. It's actually really good. Put a backing in there, and you can put a fork tube in there to pop the fork tube out of the leg. Very nice for that because it's got a big wide holding area. This is also kind of cool because I don't have it lined up on the table very well, but it's also got a stop on it. You pop that stop up, get you a piece of wood. Let's say you're planing a piece of wood or sanding a piece of wood, bring that up to the stop. Gives you a positive stop on it. Kind of cool. There's my little baby. Looks like a miniature bench vise, but it's great for like holding wires when you're soldering. Just snip your wires in there, put them together, solder away. It's also good for small parts when you're welding. Mounts easy enough with a bracket on the back. No maker on there. Panel vise. Mounted to a piece of wood so it's easier to clamp to the table. I don't have to move it all around. It is a real panda vise. As you can see, panda vise. Also got a sticker down there. It's on a ball pivot. So you loosen back here and you can move it around like this. Great little welding positioner. Great for if you're filing something that's kind of got a lot of contours in it. you can move this around so you get a, you're always filing straight instead of having to go like this, like this, and like this. Also good for soldering wires. For the same reason, you can get them in all kinds of positions. I really need to restore this little guy. He's a little hammered up, but everything works. I think I got him on eBay, and it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Let's find another one. This is my old bench vise. It needs to be repaired. Notice somebody made their own sort of locking nut on there with weld. Not sure who did that, but that's the kind of thing you'll run into with buying a used vise. This one is made in the USA, though I'm not sure who made it. It's a 6-inch, and it's not as heavy as the Colombian that's inside, the one I use now. But it does need some work on it. It's sort of in retirement right now. Actually, I use it to prop my door open. So let's go prop the door back open, and I'll find another one. This vise is my most recent purchase, and I think it's going to go on this bench somewhere. It's sort of my teardown bench. It's 5 inches, heavy duty swivel with pipe vise on the other side, basically, sort of. I think part of that's missing, actually. Oh, you got a pipe vise in there, you got some jaws in there for clamping pipe. This piece, I'm not actually sure what this is for. If anybody knows, let me know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would be useful for. But, you know, haven't given it any thought. Very heavy vise. I have no idea who made it. Somebody has either done some restoration on it in the past, or it's actually kind of got Bondo in it. I want to sort of just kind of not grind it down, get all the paint off of it, see what we got. I don't see any name on it, any number. There's a sticker on the other side, but it's gone. It's not a 8-inch reed vise, but it's a good size. It's big enough for anything I work on mostly, I think. Let's see if we can beat 40 pounds from the Brown and Sharp. I'll be damned. It's a little bit heavier than that Brown and Sharp is. It's a little easier to carry though, because you got a handle and the big round thing in the back, so it's a little easier to carry. All right, last one. My favorite vise. Four-inch post vise. Technically, the bottom of that post should be in the ground. I know that, but I needed it higher. Breaks my back. It was missing the bracket. I made the bracket with some bent threaded rod, put onto the bottom of the post. Why is that loose? Interesting. This was missing. It's the spring. I made this spring out of a automobile spring. Heated it up at the top where it doesn't have to bend it over. It's the same exact shape that it's supposed to be. However, you see it's cracked. I've tried to stop the crack, but I'm gonna have to replace that. No big deal. I know how to make one now. I have no idea on the age. I believe it's a Colombian. Probably late 1800s. On these kind of vices, the best thing you can do for them, because they're normally stored outside, just spray them down with WD-40 every once in a while, and you get this nice patina. You don't want red rust, you want brown rust. As you can see, it's in fairly decent condition. I did restore it, obviously, because I had to put all the other pieces together. When I got this, it was completely disassembled. I did find the bolt for it, the original bolt, which is square with a round head. It actually, it's like a carry bolt. It's got squares on it inside. This is my favorite vise. I use this for all kinds of things. It's easy to tighten up something loosely, just to hold it. It's got just that nice feel to it when you're coming up on it. And or you can crank down on it like nobody's business. As I mentioned before, I like my vices very stiff. So, got a 4-inch or 4x4 that's down in the ground. There's concrete down there, which you can't see. And then I took a 2x4 and put it into the shop. So, it's got a little bit of give, but not much. These things are traditionally for blacksmiths, but I use it for everything. Like I said, you saw me if you watched my DIY bending video. I used it for that. It's great to, it's got nice quick action. It's great for that kind of job. Well, alright guys, I guess that's it. I can't think of any more that I have. I'm sure there is one or two. If you have anything you want to share, please do down below. And we'll see you next time, right guy? Obi-Wan, come to visit. See you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.